Good morning. Welcome to the morning report. My name is Willie Lawson. I trust that things are well with you this glorious day. This is Thursday. Wow. All right, here we go. Two things: the deal to end the government shutdown and what it signals. It's been signed. Now it's just going to Trump's desk. He's going to sign it, and effectively this shutdown will be over. Now, if we all were under the impression that once this thing had happened, everybody would just shift to running the government again, running the country again, right? Everybody would just get back to work. No, not at all. The Democrats are pivoting to Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein files in the wake of their legislative defeat. They've got hammered, and now they have to talk about something else. They've got to keep Trump in the middle of the focus here. So let's dive in. All right, here's our first story. The House passed a funding bill to reopen the government after, I don't know, 40 days or so standoff. The bill ends the immediate shutdown threat, providing funds through January 30th, and addresses some major programmings, including SNAP through September of 2026. This basically keeps everybody off the hook for at least a year and a few months when it comes to SNAP. Even if there's another shutdown, then SNAP is not part of it. Okay. So I guess that's okay. One of the major flashpoints is funding for healthcare access for undocumented immigrants, referring to the coverage as people as illegal aliens, right? Illegal aliens. It did not make it into the final deal. Much salute to the Republicans for making that happen. Many Democrats had hoped for leverage of the shutdown to get that in there. And then they were going to send that back to the Senate. And then it was going to get Democrat support. But too many of us were paying attention, and we said, no. A lot of this was about the subsidies for the ACA as well. And those were not included. Now, you can watch, we're doing a video series on the ACA subsidies and what that really is about. So you can check that out. Just go to the channel and look for the Affordable Care Act subsidies series. It's going to be a 7-part series. I think we've got the first two in, right? The first two in, so you got to watch those for sure. All right. Republicans framed this outcome as a victory because, frankly, they did exactly what I asked them to do. They held firm against those demands and avoided excessive concessions, and now control the narrative of reopening the government. We're reopening the government because we held strong, which is going to give them a benefit in 2026 during the midterms because they have something they can campaign on. They can be proactive, not reactive and defensive. If they do it right, if we can hold, they can just hold on for 8 or 9 more months. Democrats, meanwhile, are left frustrated, internally critical of how the fight was handled, and upset about what they couldn't extract. You know, like a private call reportedly turned angry. Like people were pissed. They couldn't control some of their people in their caucus. They could control the senators from Pennsylvania, including John Fetterman, who they held up as a hero just a year or so ago. Couldn't control him. As a matter of fact, there were like 6 or 8 senators that they couldn't control. So their caucus is in disarray. Not the worst thing for Americans, but their caucus is in disarray. They kind of look like Republicans did a year ago or so. All right, here's my thoughts. This shutdown battle illustrates that legislative leverage is fading for the party that's out of power. Democrats tried to use the threat of the shutdown as a bargaining chip for policy, especially on health care for non-citizens, but ended up making fewer gains than they hoped. Meanwhile, Republicans demonstrated discipline. The thing that a lot of us have been saying forever, hold the line. When you have the vote, when you won, freaking act like you've won. Right? So the win here is partly symbolic for the Republicans. We've got the government running. We didn't cave on major demands. For Democrats, the message is more mixed. Yes, the government is open. Citizen services are resumed, but they lost the chance to force a bigger policy wins. Actually, more detrimental policy wins. That might impact their narrative heading into the next election. Opposing strategy and tangible legislative victories. Now, this is going to be interesting because are they going to do what Republicans or conservatives do? They had 8 senators who didn't go with them, and they had some people in the House who didn't go with them either. So what are they going to do? Are they going to primary those people to get them out? Are they going to punish them? My thought is they're going to try to punish them, but we'll see. So from a broader angle, back a little bit more, this signals a return to governing by the administration and Congress rather than brinkmanship. Hopefully for now. But the underlying policy fights, immigration, healthcare, have not gone away. They're just reshaping. We're going to get to our second story right after this. Billy Graham famously said he believed the next move of God would be believers making a difference in the marketplace. In the fall of 2019, Anton Kresik moved to Washington, D.C. And as Anton began his career in the political arena, 2 things became obvious. Godly principles were lacking on both sides of the aisle, and many organizations were putting profits before people. 7 Weeks Coffee was started to reverse this trend and live out Graham's calling as believers in the marketplace. As a values-based business, 7 Weeks Coffee has a simple and transparent mission. Donate 10%, a tithe, of every sale to pregnancy care centers across the nation. They are committed to earning your trust, not expecting it. So how do they do this? Leading with their values, showing the impact and providing the highest quality product. I am a Christian. I'm conservative. And 7 Weeks Coffee unapologetically supports pregnancy care centers across the nation. Please join us by letting your coffee serve a greater purpose. All right. As the shutdown drama fades, attention in Washington is shifting. Democrats, after getting punched in the face, are pivoting, which they have a tendency to do. Not to some new legislation, because that would be their freaking job. That would be why they were sent there in the first place. Although, Jasmine Crockett says that she's not interested in any legislation. She's only interested in getting Trump. Basically, she's saying, screw my district, screw my constituents. That's not what I'm here for. Oh, wow. Constitution says differently, but you do you, baby. You do you. Anyway. So this brings us to the second story. In the aftermath of the shutdown laws, House Democrats have refocused on, you're not going to believe this, the Epstein files. Yeah. Specifically, alleged ties between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Democrats on the House Oversight Committee released a set of emails in which Jeffrey Epstein allegedly states that Trump knew about the girls. And Trump spent hours with a woman identified is redacted as a victim. Okay. Democrats' argument: these emails raise serious questions about the relationship between Trump and Epstein and what might still be hidden. The Republican Trump side pushed back hard, saying Trump denies any knowledge of wrongdoing, calls the effort a hoax by Democrats. It's a witch hunt, and it's so obvious. It's it's pathetic. It's absolutely, positively pathetic because timing matters. The Democrats shift back to this topic comes framed as losing the shutdown fight. The suggestion from the commentary is that the Epstein files angle is being used as a fallback narrative. Well, they got to get a win somehow. They weren't able to damage Trump. They tried to make Trump to be the bad guy in the shutdown, which was stupid if you didn't sleep through every single one of your eighth grade civics classes. And now they're trying to make him the villain now in the whole Epstein thing. Yes, the whole releasing the Epstein file debacle, not helpful. Simply not helpful. Because it gives the Democrats a chance to do this, which is horrendous. So, why the pivot? From a strategic viewpoint, Democrats may believe they need a new rallying point, forgetting that Trump's not going to be on the ballot in 28. So their idea is to blacken Trump and paint anybody else with the same brush. That's what their plan is. So they need something to energize their base and keep public attention. With legislative wins limited, investigations and media drama becomes the terrain. However, folks Democrats, there are risks to this. People are tired. Many Americans may be more concerned with day-to-day issues like inflation and jobs and healthcare access and gas prices and you name it, with the high-profile investigations into past. Most people you can't make care about any of that crap. Yes, I know. Epstein, terrible person. Julian Maxwell, terrible person. But the fact is, you can't make a lot of people give a damn. You just can't, won't care. It's terrible. Epstein is dead, right? He hung himself. Okay. All right, whatever. But he's dead, right? Julian Maxwell's in jail. Yeah. The Black Book, never seen it. And we know we're not going to. Because here's the deal. Before I go on with this, if Trump had been on the island and they had evidence that Trump had been on the island with the girls, if they had any evidence of that, we would already know it. We would already know it. We would already know it. Democrats need solid evidence to make this an impactful strategy, which they do not have. If they had it, we would already know it. Releasing emails is one thing. Producing actionable findings is entirely something else. But without results, it may look like the same spectacle as before, the same witch hunt. And here's a messaging trap. If the narrative becomes dominated by accusations without clear policy, tangibles, then the party may be vulnerable to counter narratives about distraction and misprioritization and all the things that are true. All right, for Trump and the Republicans, this offers an opportunity. It does. If Democrats are perceived as shifting into investigations because of legislative failures, Republicans can cast them as irresponsible and more interested in headlines and policy. So you know what you do now? You hit the damn gas. It's all gas, no brakes. You know what you start doing? You continue to codify the Doge cuts. You just put the foot on the gas. Go to your hear glass. That's what it's time to do. All right. Let me wrap this up here, land this plane. So what does all this mean? The shutdown is over, at least for now. Government operations are going to resume, but the underlying battles still remain. Republicans get to claim a short-term win. Democrats face questions about strategy. Democrats' new the Democrats' new focus on Trump Epstein may be a sign of recalibration, but its effectiveness depends on execution. It becomes all flash and no findings. This is going to backfire so badly. From a political forecast perspective, the terrain is shifting. Rather than large-scale legislative fights being the only game, investigations, media optics, and public narratives are becoming central. Parties will need both policy wins and narrative wins. For watchers and voters, keep an eye not just on what gets passed, but how each side frames the event. Who controls the story may be as important as who controls the legislation. This has been the Morning Report. My name is Will Austin. We'll be back again soon with more updates on what's happening in Washington and Tallahassee and where you live and where I live. Till we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.